Wait, remember Penn Zero, Part-Time Hero? A series that puts Penn here in the middle of the perfect fantasy wish fulfillment scenario, getting to play the role of a hero in alternate dimensions along with his two friends Boone and Sashi. But all of it, as the name of the show suggests, is a part-time gig. Penn Zero brings in new adventures every episode, opening new and unique worlds for our main characters to traverse. Coming out in the mid-2010s, it actually kind of picked a perfect time to start existing, with terms like the multiverse or other dimensions being more popularized in media and really starting to boom in the cultural zeitgeist. But did the show get a fair chance to build into exactly what it wanted to be? Or did it get cut down before it fully got the chance to explore that? Today we are going to take a look at what Penn Zero Part-Time Hero was all about, what really changed between the seasons, and what held the show back from reaching its full potential. There were interesting concepts, cool worlds to explore with fun characters, and a surprisingly unique art style, so why, if the show did have a solid little fan base who wanted more, did Penn Zero get left in such an awkward position to wrap things up before the show was officially over? So I, Jordan Fringe, Part-Time Cringe, am going to dig into this series to see if it was a bit of a hidden gem, as well as discuss my personal thoughts on the show and more. Imagine, if you will, that during the day you are just an average kid, going to school, having a group of friends, and everything seems just normal. But then after school, you have to go to your part-time job that sees you as a hero who goes to other worlds to save the day after your parents, who were full-time heroes, get stuck in the most dangerous world out there. And now your shoulders must carry the responsibility of being said hero. It's a lot to juggle. Definitely stressful, you're just a kid after all, but it's all good because you'll get to have your two best pals join you on your missions. Well, this is Penn Zero's life. Voiced by Thomas Middleditch, Penn leads this trio as he, of course, is the centerpiece driving the main plots of the episodes. With him is Boone, voiced by Adam Devine, who serves as a part-time wise man, acting as the comic relief and offering some true head-scratching moments to the others, but can also show great moments of living up to the wise man classification. Lastly, there is Sashi, voiced by Tanya Gennady, who plays the role of part-time sidekick in being such a strong force of staying on target, being tough, and taking names, as well as surprisingly being a bit too wild at times. The three of them will get zapped into a new world for them to blend into, giving them new and fun looks, as they have to be the ones to fill in on saving the day. Save the day from who, you may ask? Well, with there being a part-time hero, there has to be a part-time villain, right? Well, there is. Ripon, voiced by Alfred Molina, serves this role and becomes the constant antagonist going to these worlds as well, trying to be the one behind their downfall. Along with him is Larry, voiced by Larry Wilmore, and he's just a guy who ends up enjoying being around Ripon and is the complete opposite of him because he's just a little orb of sunshine, butterflies, sugar, spice, and everything nice. Not one drop of chemical X in there. He's way too good and kind of a guy that he usually ends up being in some of the best comedic moments in the show, and part of why Ripon will never be the big bad villain he truly wants to be. You just can't hate Larry. To me, he might just be the real hero. One like on this video is a like for Larry.
Penn Zero Part-Time Hero starts next. And now back to the premiere of Penn Zero Part-Time Hero.
Coming from Jared Bush and Sam Levine, Penn Zero Part-Time Hero was announced in October of 2013 to be a new series ordered by Disney XD, as it would be set to come out in the following year, which it technically would, but I'll get to that in a moment. In the beginning of the show coming together, it was only Jared at first who was trying to fully flesh out the ideas he wanted to explore. I always liked the idea of someone who could jump to different genres, but I didn't have a way to tell that story exactly. I pitched this as a logline to Executive Director of Development Jonathan Snyder at TVA, and he said, "I really like it, but we need to do a lot of work on it. There's someone you have to meet who is totally going to get this." And Sam and I met, and it was immediately this awesome connection. And very quickly we took this rough nugget of an idea and started really beating it out, figuring out who the characters were, getting into the mythology of the show. As the series was being worked on, there was some genuine excitement, as one could expect, coming from internal Disney spokespeople, like with Senior Vice President of Original Series for Disney Television Animation, Eric Coleman, who said, "Jared and Sam have created something wonderful, a series with just the right balance of comedy, adventure, and heart. With its multiple characters, changing locations, and its lush art direction, the series is one of our most ambitious to date." A pretty glowing string of endorsing words that do their job well, building up hype for what Penn Zero was going to be, and it seemed that there was legit faith in the program being a big success. A big part of the process in making the series was nailing down the look of the show. aiming to have a look that had a nice mix of 1950s and 60s Disney-era animation, as well as the abstract and textured work you'd see in early work from Hanna-Barbera. To me, there just feels like some Chalk Zone love in there as well. Never ask Scott the Waz his opinions on Chalk Zone.
Chalk Zone.
I mean, like, what did it do? What did it do? I don't even think Chalk Zone is really represented in any Nickelodeon media.
I love Chalk Zone. I don't think I wouldn't.
Sorry.
I would.
Just all it is, man.
Fair.
It's a B-grade show.
I felt that style would support the comedy, but also ground it, because I think the thing about these Disney films is you really believe in it, and the world and the stakes. We wanted to create all these worlds that were visually graphic and exciting, but visually had some stakes to them. With those words coming from Sam, with Jared adding in, we wanted to make sure you know that if you turned it on, it was something different. We wanted it to not look like anything else, but also to not be trying hard to not be like everything else at the same time. For those efforts, I truly believe the series was able to stand out from all of the other shows around it in a fairly natural way, but not only in the efforts of having the art style and worlds they create be the main different way they do things, but also in how the show itself starts. Now, most shows end up having a Christmas special at some point, but what Penn Zero did differently was having its Christmas special technically come first, thanks to the series receiving a special sneak peek preview on December 5th, 2014, despite the series still not officially coming out until mid-February 2015. See, I told you it technically came out in 2014, but barely. It also serves as an interesting way to introduce us to the world of the show, where Penn is feeling extra bummed out about the holidays because he doesn't want to celebrate the season without his parents. So from the jump, you do get a bit of an emotional attachment and then eventual drive for why Penn Zero is now a part-time hero. It's just a really unique way to bring an audience into the series that I think works really effectively. Much how like Gamer Supps works so effectively. Hi, Jordan Fringe, part-time cringe back again, and you wonder why I have all the energy and focus to be making these videos? Nope, it's not right before I film these videos. It's Gamer Supps, which you can get down below at the link in my description or by using my code FRINGE, to get 10% off your purchase every time you purchase. Every time you use code FRINGE, it helps support the channel, so thank you to everyone who has been using my code FRINGE to pick up some Gamer Supps on the regular. Transitioning back into talking about the show, these characters aren't perfect. You know, having to be kids and heroes, it's a lot to deal with, and not every mission they go on is going to result in complete success, with Penn being a main character that screws up missions sometimes, but you get to see how he deals with the internal feelings, whether that be through vulnerable moments with his friends or with his parents, with how they're stuck having to communicate. A lot is constantly on his shoulders to feel the weight and pressure of, but it's how he picks himself up and pushes on to be the best he can thanks to the people in his life and him learning to believe in himself. There's a lot of great strong messages in the show that don't end up going in one ear and out the other, as you can feel these individual moments have a larger impact when they play out. It's definitely one of the best aspects of the show, getting to see what great characters Penn and by extension his friends or parents are. While Boone is a goofball of a character most of the time, being more of a character who knows he isn't the hero and is just kind of there for the heck of it, you do get some surprising moments where he still shows he can handle a task that you'd think he wouldn't come through for or possibly was too scared for, and also find a way to truly live up to his wise men legacy. He can come off annoying and oftentimes seem like the lazy one here, but when push comes to shove, the part-time wise man is able to bring in some heroics. As for Sashi, she constantly proves that she is not just a great part-time sidekick, but an amazing full-time friend. While she is a little too rambunctious or even unpredictable at times, she does have several moments that show she does care for her friends and can handle being a part of whatever mission the group is on. While they all aren't perfect and have their own handful of shortcomings, they do all fit together as a trio nicely and are able to adventure to all these different worlds working together as a unit. As for Penn's parents and how things go for them in the show, I think it's a pretty cool concept that the series has a way using the Muhu, or the multi-universe hologram uplink, for Penn to still communicate with them, even if they are trapped and aren't able to be rescued or come back home. We get some genuinely nice moments between them and Penn that really help establish and build up the confidence in Penn to be this part-time hero. As for the main villain of the series, Ripon, he's a more complex character than just trying to be evil for the sake of it, as it becomes more of a proving your worth type of scenario, as while we originally think of him as as this art teacher who is a part-time villain, you get to learn and understand that the teaching gig is more like the part-time gig, as he wants to officially be a full-time villain. I do like what the series ends up doing with his storyline and background, especially in season 2, where the series becomes more story-driven and less focused on being episodic. I do think when the show started becoming more story-based is when it got even more interesting, at least for me, letting us discover and find out more regarding the characters and their backgrounds. I thought it brought in a lot more lore and excitement to the series that I didn't know I was fully missing from the first season, especially with the characters of Phyllis and Phil. I just felt by the end of it all, we were able to get a solid fun adventure series that was well written, had solid pacing, good world building, and was overall pretty funny. But with all the good word of mouth the show had, and the high hopes coming from Disney executives early on, what happened to the series that caused it to wrap up so quickly? It's pretty odd that the series had a pretty cut down second season, while at the same time that second season was putting in a lot of work to world build. Let's take a look at everything that seemingly led to the show kind of vanishing.
Penn Zero Part-Time Hero, next. Now back to Penn Zero Part-Time Hero.
Despite being on at a time where there were other big shows on the network either already out or coming out, Penn Zero fought as much as it could to get a market share of that attention coming, but it definitely wasn't easy. During the run of the first season, Disney ended up ordering another season of the show to head into production, which seemed great at the time. The series was only a handful of episodes in before it was greenlit for more. Once again, there seemed to be some genuine excitement going on from Disney executives, like with Mark Buhaj, the senior VP of programming and general manager of Disney XD, as he said, "Jared and Sam have created a wonderful original series in Penn Zero Part-Time Hero. The show has rich, unique stories, and our audience has instantly responded to its engaging cast of characters. With season 2, we are excited to uncover the origins of our part-time heroes and delve deeper into the characters' mysterious backstories." This sounds great, and with that, the second season of the show was in the works, but before the second season could premiere, an announcement came a year later in July of 2016, stating the second season of Penn Zero would be its last. A Tumblr post from Sam stated, "I'm making this announcement to let you know that the second season of Penn Zero Part-Time Hero will be the final season of the series. We are finishing up the story that we begun telling in 2014. New episodes will air through 2017, leading to our series finale. I'm really excited for you all to see our big, bombastic, super funny, visually pretty, exponentially musical, big-time, exciting, and emotionally everything season 2. The most exciting part of making this show has been to see it resonate with an audience. To know you dig what we put into the universe is honestly the biggest gift. We made this stuff for you, and you're inspired and make your own stuff because of what we did, and that truly inspires me. Thank you all." Then, 1 year later, from July 10th, 2017 to July 28th, 2017, the entirety of season 2 would premiere on the network, as it seemed that it was a shortened season and basically dumped out real quick so that the network could move on from it, which honestly sucks to see. It feels like Disney didn't know what to do with a series like this. There possibly could have been cost issues where they couldn't justify keeping production flowing on the series, and the ratings in general never pulled in a big return. So who knows what the singular cause may be. But what we do know is that after the first episode of the series premiered, promotion for the show seemingly went away, leaving the show to continuously come out and end up buried by the network's other programs. It seems odd that you wouldn't promote your own show, but maybe that's just one piece of the puzzle. Another thing to consider is the network itself falling into a specific state of action programming between live action and animation, where Penn Zero didn't 100% fall in line with, as well as the series landing in this weird no man's land area of it not being this big mainstream hit or some niche classic for the network that they would keep on going for the dedicated fans. When other shows around the series would come out like Star vs. the Forces of Evil and receive larger praise and attention thanks to the network putting more marketing behind it, Penn Zero really fell into the shadows. Now, there are fans of the show. Those who did give it a shot and wanted to stick with it ended up being really supportive of it, but any word of mouth wasn't loud enough to really make a difference. Plus, the gap in between season 1 and season 2 was a bit bigger than Disney probably wanted, and the series was already confirmed to be canceled before season 2's release, so there was literally nothing that could have been done. The series at least had the chance to wrap up the story it wanted to tell, and it sucks that for the second season the show was written to become centered around the story elements more so than the episodic formula formula of the first season. They clearly wanted to keep expanding, but with the news coming to them that what they could do with the second season being greenlit, but it also being their last, is that they could write a fleshed out ending that can, hopefully, satisfy fans. Regardless of how you feel about that, after only 35 episodes or 61 segments, Penn Zero, Part-Time Hero would come to an end. It feels like we did get a lot of fun adventures out of the series, but also not enough, especially with the second season having way fewer episodes while it tried to expand on world building significantly. It's a shame really, because I think this show could have lasted a good bit longer and could have had the chance to explore more of what they were building. Another one of my favorite aspects of the series was the art style, as it felt very unique and different from most of the other shows, especially on Disney, that were around it. Every time we would visit a new dimension, the characters becoming more integrated with it through their designs and character changes were exciting, and it never felt stale. Even when the show became more story-driven and we would revisit similar dimensions, it didn't feel lazy or less exciting. Even if Ripon is a reoccurring threat basically causing similar problems throughout the series, he never felt stale or boring because of the complexities built into the character. And because Larry, come on everyone, we know the real MVP here is Larry. This is the Larry I want to live like. There was a cool constant flow of voice actor cameos from well-known and legendary voice actors from Adam West to John DiMaggio, but also a slew of other surprise voices like Bill Nye and Paul Rubens. Heck, we even had Blake Anderson show up for a partial Workaholics get-together since Adam Devine plays a main character here. While the journey seemingly was cut shorter than the creators wanted, at least the story got to wrap up and give us a satisfying enough conclusion that you don't feel like it was all leading to nowhere. Whether you enjoyed how it ended or weren't the biggest fan, I'm just thankful that it wasn't left on a massive cliffhanger that we'll never get the proper continuation for, like we've seen with so many other amazing shows before. Penn Zero Part-Time Hero is a pretty fun series that may be worth your time going back to and checking out, as it came out during a time where some other big name shows were taking up most of the conversation in the animation space. You may just have let a hidden gem like Penn Zero zap through the cracks. But of course, I'd love to hear what you think about the series. Were you a fan of Penn Zero Part-Time Hero, and if so, which dimension did they travel to was your favorite? Mine has to be when they literally go into a cereal commercial world, albeit I am disappointed there was no Meatloaf Crunch.
Meatloaf Crunch! Whoop-de-dee! Have a bowl of me!
A true breakfast classic. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like on this video and to subscribe for more videos like this coming soon, but until then, later.